Good afternoon guys, this is Eddie from the MYFAROG's and Baggins's channel. In this video I'm going to do a full character creation for MYFAROG version 2.6. So as you can see here, this is on page 5 in the rulebook, the character generation and development. So this is the process which you will have to follow to create your own character. It's also worth having this book, curses and gifts, in order to work out things like your birth date and other things such as alignments, and there's also other parts regarding sorcery and deities. We'll have a look at that a little bit later. So let's go into step 1, the racial background. So basically this is where we'll make a roll to see what type of Thulean I will be playing. As you can see here, we've also got Arbis, Darkling and Weakling, Cometians, foreigners. Now normally in MYFAROG you're encouraged to play a Thulean character, but there might be some one-shots or campaigns in which the Mythmaster would like you to play a Cometian or an RB, or maybe just to try something a little bit different. Alright, so I'm going to roll now 3d6 to see what type of character I will be playing. Okay, so we've got a 5, so that means I will be a native. So just actually one out on getting a wood elf, a little bit unlucky there. So this is the character sheet here, and for race I will put native. Okay, so here we've got a description of all of the different species in Thule. You have the Darklings and Weaklings, the natives, Elf-born, Godfathered and Goddess-born. Then we go to Fairlings, and the latest, the newest species or race to Thule, which is the Wood Elf. Okay, so let's gender. So I'm going to play a male character. You can do it by dice if you wish, but for the purpose of this tutorial I will play a male character. So just cross that out there, as you can see. Okay. This is here on page 8, where you can actually roll for your for the gender of your character if you wish. That's on page 8. So next step now is the attributes. Let's have a look here. It says there are 6 attributes for characters in MYFAROG: charisma, CHA in uppercase, constitution, con, dexterity, dex, intelligence, int, strength, STR, and willpower, will. So when you see it abbreviated in uppercase, that's referring to the attribute, to the base value. Okay. And if you see it in lowercase, that will refer to the modification for skills. Here you've got an explanation of all of the different attributes. And in MYFAROG you roll twice for each attribute, and you pick the best result for each. So it's basically like picking the best genes from both parents in this case. Okay, as you can see here, the races start with racial modifications. In the case of my native here, the male, he actually gets a +0 to all of the attributes. Okay, so let's roll for the attributes now. Okay, get the paper here. So I'm going to roll twice for each. I'm going to roll twice for each attribute, and then I will allocate the scores to the attributes that I would like. Okay, 7. And 8. Okay, second roll. We have 12 and 15. So we'll go with 15 naturally. Third attributes have 12 and 11. So we'll go with 12. Fourth attributes have 11 and 11 again, so not much choice there. The fifth attributes, we have 13 and 12, so we'll go 13. And now for the final attributes, we have 10 and 9. So we'll go with 10. So these will be my starting attributes. As I'm a Fulane native, none of those will be modified by my race. So pretty normal stats there, nothing spectacular and nothing really bad. I have an 8, which will give me a negative 1 to one of my attributes for modification, and I have a 13 and a 15, so that will give me a +1 to one of them now. Okay, so let's go back and have a look at the next step here. So we've got social class, which you can find here on page 11. Okay, so let's go to the social class system now. So my character will be a noble. So I'll put that here in social class as a noble. Okay, so I'm going to have a look now at the character roles in order to work out what kind of character I could be depending on the prerequisites which we have. So let's say if I wanted to be a warrior, let's have a look. I would need to have a minimum of 9 in con, 13 strength and 9 in will. So according to the attribute which I've rolled for, I do have enough to be a warrior if I wished. However, if I wanted to be a berserk, apart from having the Sartru life stance, I would need to have 13 in charisma, 9 in con, 16 in strength and 13 in will. So for the time being, that's going to be impossible to be a berserk. Okay, so now I'm going to roll for the birthplace of my character, which will need a d20. So let's see what we get here. It's got a 5 on the dice. That means my character is from Elinea. Okay, so I can write that down here on my character sheet. So here, Elinea. Then I can go and check in the Elinea in the regional section and have a look at the different tribes and choose one of those. So being a native Fulane from Elinea means I'll have a 1 in 5 chance of being of the Sartru life stance and a 1 in 6 chance of being Seder. So it's important to remember that Sartru is the belief of deities, and they are religious characters who believe that the deities control all the forces in the world and that you can influence these through prayer and sacrifice by praying to the sympathetic deities. On the other hand, Seder is the traditional life stance, and if you do have a character of the Seder life stance, that means you cannot become a bard, bacchante maenad, depending on gender, ranger, or berserk or valkyrie, depending on gender again. So if you are of Lysander life stance, you could possibly be a sorcerer, depending on your starting attributes. And basically the sorcerer is a character who tries to manipulate spirits to cast spells for him or her, whereas the Asatru asks for favours, asks the deities to cast the spells for him or her. So for my character now, I can write down Asatru in the life stance section. As you can see here, Asatru. Okay. Good. So we now have the birthplace and the life stance, and next let's check out the cultural background, step number 6. Okay, so my character is from Elinea, which means, and he's a male, so I can choose either lyra playing, poetry, or world lore. So I think I will go with lyra playing and world lore. So I'm going to mark that down now on my character sheet under trained skills. So I have lyra playing, which uses int, and world lore again, which uses int, and they will both be trained skills. Okay, step 6, tribe name number 7, section 7. Again, I think which I mentioned before, as a player you can choose the tribe for yourself, or the Mythmaster can do it. You might be part of a campaign where you and your fellow players are all starting from the same tribe. So I will go to that section now, in fact, which I should have bookmarked down somewhere. Yeah, okay, Rolanda Fule, page 53. So let's have a look for Elinea. And here you can see a bit of a description here. And Sargon is the most popular deity here. So I will choose the tribe. Let's choose the 4th one down, Laconi. Okay, and the seat is called Stream Cove, 130 inhabitants. So I will write that down now on my character sheet, Laconi. Okay, now we can work out the age of my character. Okay, so back to page 13. So I am a native, so my age will be 15 plus a d3. So let's roll a d6 and halve that. To get a 5, so my character will be 18 years old. Okay, so now I'm going to actually put the attributes that I rolled for into my character sheet, into the value section now. So I'm thinking of being a warrior with this character, so the 2 attributes which I need probably the most of are strength and constitution. So I'm going to put the 15 into strength, the 13 into constitution, give my character a 12 for dexterity. Intelligence we'll go with 11, Will, I'll go with 10, and charisma 8, as you can see here. So now I've done that, I can work out the maximum age of my character. So it'll be my constitution multiplied by 5. So it has a base value of 13 multiplied by 5, so that would be maximum age of 65. Okay, it's important to remember that throughout the game the constitution value can either go up or down depending on certain circumstances, and that will change the maximum value as well. Okay, let's work out some other things up here first of all, such as the height. So, as a native male, have 58 plus 46. So let's roll for that now and see how tall my character is. Okay, so you have 60, 63, 67, 72. So my character is 72 inches tall, which will be, I believe, trying to think if it's 5'11". I have to check that, but I believe it's 5'11". Okay, next we'll work out the weight. So it says here the height is added to 46 multiplied by 3 plus strength modifier multiplied by 10 plus 40. Okay, unless you are a Wood Elf male or RB Commission females. Okay, so let's work out my character's weight. We're going to roll 46 multiplied by 3. So on the dice we have 13. Sorry, knocked that over. 13 multiply that by 3 be 39. Plus strength modifier times 10. So I have strength modifier of plus 1, so that will just be 10. So that will give me a total of 49 plus 40, that'll be 89. Okay. So that'll be my height is 72 plus 89, which will give me a grand total of 161 pounds. Okay, so now I can check on this table here to check if it gives me a size bonus or not. And as you can see here, medium weight I have 136 to 165, size plus 0, so my character is just of normal size, so it gets a size plus 0. Okay, now I'm going to mark off character role as a warrior, and I'm going to do the modifications here. As I mentioned before, there are no modifiers, no racial modifiers. So an 8 will give me a -1 to charisma. Constitution, I have 13, so that will be +1. Dexterity is 12, so it'll be +0. Intelligence 11, so it'll be a +0. Strength 15 +1, and will 10, that will be a +0, as you can see here. So all of these modifications will go towards your skills when you're using them here. As you can see, you have things like acrobatics, using Dex, acting, charisma, alchemy, intelligence. And if you see, for example, under the U, that stands for untrained, T is for trained, character role, CR is character role, and the type, here we have MS stands for a movement skill such as acrobatics, SS is a special skill such as acting, and we should have CS, for example, melee and missile, which is a combat skill. So there are 3 different types of skills there. Most of them are SS, special skills, or MS, movement skills. Okay, so already my character is at a bit of a disadvantage if I'm using any skills which rely on charisma. If I'm using skills which rely on strength or con, then my character will have a bit more of an advantage. But as you might be able to see here, there are not many skills which rely on your con, apart from things like swimming and stamina, and I believe that's it. Same with strength, you have very few which rely on strength. Tempo and melee, so most of them are using things like intelligence, dexterity, willpower, and the odd one using charisma. So, don't necessarily think that the most important attributes are strength and constitution. Each one, they're all important in their own way. For example, the higher your con will give you more health points and potentially also stamina points. So that's something to consider. Okay, so we've done the age, talent. So as a level 1 character, you can choose one talent. So let's have a look at the talents now, which is on page 14. So we've got a list of talents here. Some of these talents I won't be able to access straight away because you need a prerequisite. Okay, so for example, if I wanted to choose acrobatic as a talent, I couldn't because I would need athletic as a prerequisite. So if you look under the prerequisite column, the ones which are blanked, you will be able to choose the one to the left, immediately to the left. So I could choose a aggressive, but as I'm a warrior, I will go for fighter. If you can see like that, there's no prerequisite for fighter, and that will give me a +1 to melee. And as you can see, there's a small 1, which means we should look at the footnotes. And it says also enables the character to attack more than what is normal with certain weapons. Yeah. So actually, fighter enables your character to attack twice in combat. If you don't have the fighter talent, you can only attack once. I believe the second attack will be at a slight disadvantage, so I think it's being a -2 to the second, to the OV, I should say. Also, if you fumble on the first attack, you won't be able to have a second attack. So I'm going to write down here under talents, fighter, and that will help me when I'm working out my my combat statistics later on. Okay, so far so good. Have a talent. I jumped ahead a little bit. I went to the character role section. I've chosen now warrior, and let's go back there now. Have a quick look. Brief description here of the warrior: a man, woman trained for war on land, on sea, and on horseback. But what I want to have a look at is the advantages of being a warrior. And here you can see all of the different levels. And so as my warrior is level 1, it means I can jog rather than just walk with the guard up when part of a formation. And I can charge as well. So charge is particularly useful. You go into combat with some momentum. And we'll have a look at what bonuses you will get for that a bit later on. Can attack with very long-reaching weapons from the second line of a column or square formation made up of only warriors or berserks. So we need to look at the combat modifications section to understand that a little bit better. But to give you a brief idea, attacking from the second line of a column will give you a slight negative to your rolls, but at least you'll be able to attack from safety. Okay, so So if you look at the character sheet here, you can I could actually write this down now. I could say, you know, can jog with the guard up, part of formation, and can charge. So I'm going to write that in now, just as a reminder. So can jog with guard up and can charge. Yeah, so that's pretty useful. Not every character role can do that. So a berserk, for example, can charge as well. But for example, a ranger cannot charge into melee. You can of course be in melee, but it cannot charge. Also, some weapons will give you an even better bonus when you're charging as well. But for that, you need to have a look at the weapon descriptions. Okay, so I've got here can jog with guard up, can charge, and yeah, can be in formations, etc. Okay, so let's go back now, and what do we have left? We have gear and calculations and name. First of all, I'm going to mark off my character role skills for being a warrior, which you can find on page 21. So we can see here, warrior. I've actually noticed down they have 6 character role skills going down here. So I'm going to mark them off now, and I'll probably in the video use a bit of boots of speed to speed it up. Alright, so I've marked off my character role skills, and I have acrobatics, melee and missile, riding, seamanship, and stamina as character role skills. My trained skills from my birthplace or cultural background are world law and lyre playing. So in total I have 8 skills and 1 talent. Okay, so let's have a look. Okay, languages known. Fulayan. My character doesn't speak either Commission or RB. Okay. Alright, so the next thing I need to work out for my character is stamina points and health points. So my character has stamina as a character role skill, so he will gain half a stamina point for every level. So basically you need to gain 2 levels before you get an increase in stamina. So he's going to start with 8 plus his con mod, which is +1, and level bonus. So his level 1, that's going to round down, so it's going to be nothing. So he's going to start with 9 stamina. Okay, I mean that's considerably less than in previous versions of MYFAROG, where characters would at least start with 12 plus their con mod and level bonus. So in version 2.6 of MYFAROG, it's making it perhaps a little bit more, let's say, in older versions of MYFAROG, even low-level characters were getting powerful way too early. So this is just a way of making it a bit more balanced. Okay, so health points. We have my con value, which is 13, plus my strength mod, which is +1, 14. Size, that's 0, and level bonus. So warriors and berserks get 2 HP per level, so that should give me 16 hit points if I'm not mistaken. That's just primarily for being a warrior. If I was any other class than a warrior or a berserk, then I would start with 15 hit points. Okay, I rolled for the amount of silver I would start with, and as a noble I get 3d6 plus 3. I got an 8 on the dice, so I start with 11 ounces of silver. So this comes to the buying equipment part. I've written it here in the pouch section, but then I've actually put it here onto a sack on shoulders, and the actual weight limit of a sack is 27 pounds. So I've made it so that all of the things in my sack do not go over 1/6 of 27 pounds, because if they do, then that might give me an encumbrance mod, such as a medium load, and that would be a -1 to my movement speed, which is something I don't want. So I'm just trying to go for just the necessary things. So I've gone for 4 bandages, a couple of field rations, a couple of tinder boxes, and a couple of torches. And in my belt I have a water skin, so that's not going over 1/6 of 27 pounds. Alright, so apart from that, with the silver I had, I ended up buying a fur shirt. Again, I would have to decide what it's made of. It could either be, obviously, like rabbit or hare, or some kind, perhaps a deer, some kind of a non-predatory animal. And that gives me an AV of 1. I've gone for a cap. That gives me an AV of 1 as well, so my character has a total armor value of +2. The cap also gives me a -1 to any perception or missile checks. Okay. But it's especially worth having a bit of armor value. So for my character to take damage, then he would at least have to be hit by 3 hit points to lose 1 because of my armor value. Alright, so I've gone for a large plywood shield. Probably offers the best all-round protection. Gives me a +3 to my defensive, my melee defensive value, and a +3 to my missile defensive value. But it's quite a hefty -6 to my movement speed. Minimum strength of 0, so that's totally fine. So yeah, and of course here it says +1 to OV melee. That's assuming that you're fighting with a shield and a hand weapon. So also pretty handy, because of course in combat you will not only be attacking with your weapon, but you will be using your shield as an offensive weapon. Alright, so melee weapon. Start off with a short axe, and I've actually gone for a winged spear. It's a good all-round weapon, I feel, except if you're in confined spaces. Gives you an excellent initiative bonus. If you can either use it one-handed or two-handed. Of course, I've got a shield, so I'm going to use it one-handed. There might be a situation in which my shield breaks or gets smashed to pieces, in which case I can decide then to use it two-handed, and I'll get some further benefits for that. I have to check the footnotes, but using it one-handed under normal circumstances will give me an extra +1 to my defensive value. Damage has D8 +1. Alright, and minimum strength you need -1, so I can wield that comfortably. -1 to cut and a +1 to shock. And apart from that, my character's got some leather boots. Obviously you want to have some footwear in Thule. Alright, so I've checked off here light load for encumbrance. I've got no further MS penalties. I mean, I've already got -6 because of the plywood shield, so my character will be moving a little bit slower than he would normally, but hopefully that shouldn't be too much of a problem. And being a warrior, he will try to charge his enemies if he can. I have a fighter talent which allows me to attack twice per round, but if I do charge, then I can only attack once. You can't attack twice or thrice or 4 times if you charge in. But the following round I could then attack twice if I wished to. There are some good bonuses from charging. You get a +2 to your OV, an extra D4 damage. I think you get a -1 to your melee defensive value. And yeah, so here I've worked out my current combat statistics. I'm going to go through that with you now. So for my OVME, I have a +3. So let's have a look here. We've got melee skill proficiency. So that's, at the moment I have it as a character role, but I'm only level 1, so that's not enough to give me a bonus just yet. So that will be just a 0. However, I do have a fighter melee talent, so that will give me a +1. Encumbrance mod, nothing there. Again, if my sack had been a little bit heavier, then that would have given me a -1. Fatigue mod. Okay, so if tired you get a -1, if you're weary you get a -2, exhausted -3. If you have a heavy load you get a -3, so imagine being exhausted and carrying a heavy load. In combat you'd have a whopping -6 to your offensive value, so gonna make it pretty hard to hit your opponents in that kind of a situation, something you want to avoid. Weapon mod, if any. So there's nothing there for the time being. I would get a bonus fighting against certain types of characters with specific type of shields. Again, you have to look at the footnotes to get a clearer idea there. So you've got a +1 if carrying a shield or one weapon in each hand. So I've got +1 for that, +1 for my talent, and a +1 for my strength bonus. So that gives me an OVME of 3. Alright, let's check my defensive value now for melee. So I've got a start with a 10. Melee, get a skill proficiency, I get a 0. Shield mod, I have a +3, takes it to 13. There's no encumbrance or fatigue. I'm going to get a +1 for the winged spear under normal circumstances, but I have to take into account that I might have to get rid of that if I'm in a confined space. I'll take it to 14. I have the fighter talent 15 and a +1 because of my strength mod. So that will give me an an offensive. Oh, yeah, I've actually got them in the wrong places here. But never mind, I can soon change that. So my defensive, it should be +16. Gonna forget that for now. Alright. So my DVME is +16. Offensive value for missile. Well, I don't have any missile weapons. But if I did, then I do actually have missile skill as a proficiency, as a character role skill, but I don't have sufficient level to give me a +1. Have a helmet, that would give me a -1. Weapon mod. So I think that would probably give me a -1. But yeah, if I did carry some missile weapons, I would check that a bit more thoroughly. Defensive value against missile, I need to do this one. So start off with a 10. Shield mod gives me a +3. My size is normal and no other missile mods, so that will give me a defensive value for missile of 13. Dodging, get a minimum of +1. My Dex mod is 0, so that would just be a +1 there. My total AV is 2 from the fur shirt and the cap. MS penalty -6 because of the plywood shield, and here I have the values for my plywood shield. Both are +3. So quite handy. It's a good shield, but it's a little bit heavy. Might want to upgrade that in the future. Alright, so my resistance here, I get a disease and poison 1 because of my value for con, my modifier. In curses and gifts here, I can work out my character's birth dates. Okay, let's put this down. So I'm going to roll a d20 to work out the season. That's an 18. So I'll actually give my character +1 con. So I'll take my character's Constitution to 14, which doesn't actually change the modification. So nothing to worry about there. Okay, let's find out the exact month. I'm going to roll a d6 now. So we have a 6. So born in autumn and born on the last month of autumn, which you can see right here. Let's check the day. I roll a d8, and that's an 8. So born on Saturday, as you can see here. So it's actually known as it's also called just cleaning day, the traditional name, after what families in Thule normally do that day, often because of their respect for MYFAROG, to excuse the pronunciation. They clean the house and then themselves to be able to meet the next week clean and free from guilt. So born on a Saturday. Alright, let's check the exact day. So you can roll a d8 again, and this time we get a 2. Alright, so that will be Saturday the 7th. So that's nothing in particular there, so I can note that down on my character sheet. Alright, and also in here we, if you really want to, I mean you don't have to if it's your first character necessarily, but there's something about alignments. So if you're used to playing games such as Dungeons and Dragons, you might just be used to the 9 alignments. You know, typically things like lawful good, lawful evil, lawful neutral, etc., etc. In MYFAROG it works a little bit different to that, depending on the race and species, which you can see here. And then there is a description of each alignment. So I might actually leave it for another video. It's a little bit more advanced. And if you might not have curses and gifts straight away, so you won't be able to do that, but I recommend purchasing it. Another thing here in curses and gifts is the floors. Again, this can be optional, depending on how you feel about this and the Mythmaster. But just for the sake of this, I'm going to see how many floors my character gets, and I'm going to roll a d4. So I'm going to have 2 floors here. Okay, so I'm a native. I mean, this is just so you can see here the floors. d4 floors using a d100. Okay, and you know, some races or species suffer from particular peculiarities, as you can see here, and these are quite typical flaws for these races and species. So as you can see down here, the Wood Elf is likely to have a dislike for Arbis or dislike Cometians, which is totally understandable considering the lore and history of the Wood Elves. They were persecuted, killed, raped by the Arbis and Cometians for thousands of years. It was a long war, so it's only natural that they have a disliking towards those 2 species and races. Alright, so I'm going to roll for 2 floors now using a d100. I'm going to roll a d10 twice because I don't have a d100. So we've got 81. So let's check what we have. So 81 is sickly, and let's have a look at it here. It says your health is rather poor. You suffer a -1 to your con. So it's quite interesting. So I actually got a +1 to con because of my birthday being born in autumn. But I lose that straight away because of the sickly nature. And second floor, I should also note that if I get 81 or 2 again on the dice, then I'll get a -2, so it'll be like a level 2, so it'll just be worsened. 21, let's see what we have here. So 21 is a dislike. So there is something or someone, an important individual, a race, a tribe, or the like that you really dislike and refuse to cooperate with. If a something or someone you dislike dies, you will automatically start to dislike something or someone else instead. Test your will against DD8 in order not to intentionally provoke what you dislike into attacking you. A critical failure means you attack instead. Alright, so I think for my character I'll choose a dislike of Arby's. So whenever I come across an Arby, I will have to make that test. Okay. So, that's pretty much it for this character creation in MYFAROG 2.6. If you have any questions or any comments, if you feel if I haven't done anything quite right in this character creation, just get back to me and we'll talk about it. So, until the next video, and yeah, give the video a like if you liked it, or a subscribe if you'd like to see more videos. Until the next time, and again, if you're on Facebook and you want to get into some MYFAROG games, then check us out on Mythic Fantasy Role-Playing Gamers Group on Facebook, run by Will Roberts and Jeff Cape. Again, there are games all the time, so it would be good to get you involved in some of those. Okay, bye bye.